Supreme Court, while hearing the Jammu Kashmir statehood plea in the court, has said that we can't ignore what happened in Pahalgam and that ground realities must be taken into account. This plea was filed in the top court to restore Jammu Kashmir statehood in the next 2 months, and Supreme Court has now sought centre's reply on this very plea. Well, Supreme Court, while making these strong observations, said that Jammu Kashmir situation can't be ignored and we need to take ground realities into account. The court said what happened in Pahalgam is also something that needs to be taken into account. My colleague Nupur is joining us from outside the court, and also my colleague Nazir will be joining us on the broadcast. Let me first go across to my colleague Nupur here. Nupur, strong observations coming in from the court. Take us through the details here.
Well, yes, today this petition came up in front of the bench headed by Chief Justice of India BR Gavai. He was informed that there needs to be clarification on demarcation of power, and a decision needs to be made in restoring the statehood for Jammu and Kashmir. Remember, last year also, when the Supreme Court had set a deadline for the centre to conduct assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir, it had said that the centre should at the earliest take steps to restore statehood there. But today the Supreme Court made this observation that the condition of Jammu and Kashmir, the peculiarities of the situation cannot be ignored. The Chief Justice of India especially cited the Pahalgam terror attack and said that it cannot be ignored that there are peculiar situations involved in this case. However, senior advocate Gopal Sankaranarayan, who was appearing on behalf of the petitioner, said that the issue is creating administrative problems and there needs to be a demarcation of powers. So that's why it is important that statehood is considered to be restored. After that, after hearing these submissions, the Supreme Court then asked the centre to file its reply within 8 weeks. But the Supreme Court was in fact of the opinion that it is a peculiar matter indeed. And given the situation of Pahalgam terror attack, it cannot order a blanket direction to the centre to immediately restore the statehood.
The centre will have some time to reply on the matter, but what has been the government's stance so far on this?
Well, the government has not categorically not denied that it wants to restore the Jammu and Kashmir's statehood or not. It has been time and again seeking time and waiting for the right opportunity. But the Supreme Court has previous on several occasions, because this is not the only petition that has been filed seeking restoration of statehood. There are several other petitions, and that's why a demand was also made to club all these petitions and hear them together. Last year also the Supreme Court had asked the centre to restore the statehood at the earliest. The centre, the Home Ministry, have never denied that they don't want to go ahead with the same. Yes. They have just cited challenges, but now this is for the first time that the Supreme Court is also acknowledging that a peculiar situation is there. Absolutely. And especially citing the Pahalgam terror attack, the Supreme Court said that it will have to consider all the facts before coming to a conclusion.
Yes, that what the Supreme Court also said today, that the ground realities have to be taken into account. My colleague Nazir also with us. Nazir, time and again we understand these petitions have come in the court, but Supreme Court of course making these big observations today. Clearly what happened in Pahalgam is something that can't be forgotten ever, and the court has said, you know, before we come up with a decision on this very matter on restoring Jammu Kashmir statehood, we have to take into account the ground realities.
Well, exactly. And Supreme Court has said that the ground realities have to be taken into account and we can't ignore Pahalgam. Normally, many believe here that that should go against the centre's standpoint, because it is during the centre rule or the direct centre which is looking after the law and order. Pahalgam has happened, not in the elected government, but when statehood could be denied. But having said that, today's observation by the Supreme Court clearly are not favorable for the restoration of statehood at the earliest we see, because the petitioners have asked for the implementation of Supreme Court's own order, where directions which they have passed on 11th of December 2023, when they announced the verdict on Article 370, while upholding the abrogation of Article 370. So then they said the centre should restore the statehood as soon as possible at the earliest. based on the center's own submission that they will restore the statehood after elections. Now the center's
Yes.
Solicitor General again maintained in the court that the statehood will be restored, but why should this petition come up? And he will seek instructions from the center and sought 8 weeks time, and which was granted by the Chief Justice and the court.
Right.
That 8 weeks time was granted, and the center will come up with its response within 8 weeks of time. That's what happened in the